This is Disclosure Now, a show where we expose the truths that are nefariously hidden from humanity. Today we discuss the Tik Tok ban. What are the real motivations behind the ban? We also examine the phenomenon of Americans fleeing to foreign apps and learning about the absurd disparities we face in the United States.
Hey everyone, welcome to Disclosure Now. We got a little bit of an interesting show for you today, doing things a little bit different. Basically we're talking about the TikTok ban today, which is set in at midnight.
It's if everything goes through, which it's unfortunately it's looking like it probably will. It is going to be going away tonight or technically Sunday at midnight. So that's happening.
So we're looking at in this show we're going to examine what are the real reasons behind this, because not to just say the most obvious thing and ever, but we all know that Facebook is tracking us, Instagram, Meta, all these different social media apps are tracking us, and this one just happens to be Chinese, so they're all worried about it. But I think what's really going on is they are trying to censor information, trying to basically shut it down because it's been used. It's a not state-controlled app. It's been used to, just think about how many videos you've seen on different podcasts and stuff like that, or even here, stuff that we've talked about here, with information that got presented because of TikTok.
Yeah, I've sent him, there's so many UFO videos and stuff that I've seen. I've sent him stuff. Some of it turned out to be stuff. Some of it, does turn out to be BS sometimes, but some of it looks pretty authentic to me. This is just it's a way for normal people to connect, share videos, and function as a sort of social media as well. Because here on YouTube, I don't consider YouTube social media. It's just a video hosting platform. People can interact in the comments and stuff, but you can't really connect with people the same way that you can on TikTok.
Yeah, so it's just really I think scary kind of, because I think it's we always talk about freedom of information and anti-censorship, and I talked about this before on the channel. People are like, oh yeah, but X is freedom of information, freedom, you can say whatever you want now. And it looks like Facebook is going the same route. But I've already told you, this is what I think is going on. They're manufacturing global crisis, destabilizing countries, then sending those people to more stable countries, which is also destabilizing those countries, destabilizing the world, creating an environment where basically people who are racist, xenophobic, just fascist, really, will be emboldened because they will feel like it's all set up. It's all problem, reaction, solution. You have to look at why are they doing stuff. Every time that you see stuff happen, see events occurring, or because with the global situation we have at large, we know that the CIA is involved in destabilizing all of these countries, literally all of them, from the Middle East to South America.
Yep.
And now we see the problem, reaction, solution coming into play. Oh, we'll help you guys out. We'll save you. We'll bring you to England. We'll bring you to the United States, things like that. And then it's upsetting people here and causing this whole, people going we want stronger borders. We want a more militarized force patrolling our streets and catching people that are illegal immigrants. It's making people beg for fascism. It's making people ask for fascism. And that's something that you won't hear very many people talk about in the so-called truther community. They're not going to talk about the problem, reaction, solution that's at play right now, and really the fact that the freedom of information on TikTok has not. It's been a place where you can talk about UFOs, you can talk about really weird stuff the government's doing, you can talk about situations that are going on around the world. But it hasn't really been a place of hatred and vitriol, and what I'm getting at here is okay, X has freedom of speech right now, and there, people are finding a lot of great information on there. I don't actually use that because I'm just hearing it from other people, that there's good videos on there, and you can find a lot of truth there. But at the same time, I'm hearing from people that there's just like literal neo-Nazis and stuff on there now. And that's because, well, freedom of speech, right? Freedom of speech. So you can't censor the neo-Nazis because they're allowed to say what they want to say, right? And I don't know if you know about the paradox of tolerance, but the paradox of tolerance is basically, yeah, tolerance is important. You have to tolerate people with different beliefs than you, but people who are intolerant, who do not tolerate people's beliefs, other people's beliefs, and who believe that their beliefs are superior, basically extremists of any kind, those are the people that you can't tolerate. And what they're creating is an environment where extremism, right-wing nationalist extremism is going to become extremely tolerated.
Yeah, it's, well, I've basically seen from pages like 8chan and so on. If everything is allowed, then you get not C's and you get pedos every time. They're always going to flock to those types of platforms. So just something to think about.
Yeah, it's unfortunate but true. I mean, the world is just a cesspool when it comes to that, like right now. And basically, like, you can talk like that's one of the real big problems with a lot of these apps too. It's like they're basically a cesspool for predators to prey on children, to spread material and stuff like that. And we want to really point out here on the show that the government has done pretty much nothing about, there's like 8-year-old girls that want to kill themselves because of Instagram or whatever, 11-year-old girls. There's all these really toxic things happening because of these apps. They're mind controlling people and doing really terrible things to them. And that's not what they're worried about. They're not worried. I guess I've seen Congress talk about it. I've seen Congress talk about all this stuff and grill Mark Zuckerberg. It was actually really great to see. But then they continued to do nothing about it.
Yeah.
And but yet when it comes to this app, this is what it is. This is exactly what we think. If they don't want to take it down because they're afraid of the Great Awakening, they're afraid of people on there are very civil with each other, I think, for the most part. I don't see the hatred and vitriol I saw on TikTok that I see on like I said, I'm not on X, so I can't testify, but I'm hearing that it's pretty bad there. And I know that it's really bad on Facebook as well. And like I said, Facebook, I can totally testify. I left. I don't know if anyone's noticed. I'm not really on there.
Yeah, I'm not on there as well. They've basically announced a whole new set of rules that says it's okay to be it's like written in their rules that it's okay to be extremely hateful towards different minority groups. And the fact that they specifically say yes, this is allowed, you can say that women are property, and stuff like that, that's the final straw for me. I haven't deleted it yet. I've deactivated it, but I don't see myself going back anytime soon.
I think between that, because for me, when I go on there, I see people sharing AI, and then they don't realize they're sharing AI, or they're transvestigating every single fucking person they see, and it's weird. I just see really weird behavior. And if you don't know what transvestigating is, it's basically every single person in the world is trans secretly. And you need to know what genitals everybody has. And the trans people are the weird ones, not you. Not you, who needs to know if so-and-so has a penis or a vagina. Every fucking person you see on the TV, you need to know. That, it gets weird. I understand there, are people who are, they don't want to out themselves and they don't want to admit that they're trans. That's been a thing forever. Because, there's people who are hateful towards trans people, unfortunately.
Yeah. But it's people's own personal medical business, basically. And the AI is another huge reason. Facebook is just becoming full of AI slop. They're openly announcing that they're going to be creating AI profiles on Instagram and on Facebook. Apparently there's been fake profiles on Facebook since 2023 and probably a whole lot longer than that. But it's bad enough with the AI slop as it is, and it's only going to get worse. So it's peace, I'm out.
Yeah, AI influencers and stuff like that. Yeah, AI influencers are next. Yeah, I just gotta see this trend of like I think they wanna create an environment where just people who are hateful are emboldened, and there are facts to support what's going on because of the situations that like that they're like they'll be like they're supported by the global climate right now, and there's xenophobia, basically the idea of not letting people in so we can keep America stronger. It's being reinforced, and I understand like when people like are like, dude, we got all these immigrants coming to our town and it's a lot, like we can't handle it. Like I understand those concerns, and I'm not going to gaslight people. That's part of the problem that you see on the other side of the coin is people aren't admitting that something's weird's going on. But like I said, when they manufacture situations, you have to look at how they expect the public to react, because that's why they're doing it. Like when it comes to like these weird terrorist attacks you're seeing that seem connected to MK Ultra because they're connected to the PSYOPs division of the military and all this weird stuff. You don't trace it back to the who did it and who was involved or whatever. That's less important than why are they doing it and what reaction do they expect, because that's what they do. That's what problem reaction solution is the reaction is the most important part. How do we react to the stuff they do? And that's why we're doing the show, is because we really want to point out we think that they're trying to create a more just an environment where, yeah, I don't know, like
speaking of Facebook, a weird thing is like they just rolled out on, I'm seeing this on TikTok, on Facebook, they just rolled out a feature like suggesting people link their TikTok to their Facebook like within the past week. And isn't that strange? Because everybody knows that TikTok is going away. So it's like, what does Zuckerberg know? Like, what is going on? Like, is he going to try to buy TikTok?
Yeah, so that there's something weird going on. And then if Meta owns TikTok, like I don't want to use it anymore.
Yeah, I definitely would
like
not want to use
I don't
it.
like him. I don't like Zuck. I don't trust him. I believe he's a CIA asset, just like Elon, just like Bezos, just like Steve Jobs. All these guys were created by the CIA, in my opinion. And there's evidence to back it up, too. We're going to do a whole show on that in the future. We will be doing a show in the future on how all the tech people are basically just reinventing the wheel. A lot of it's alien technology or even ancient human technology. And they're basically just given it by the CIA and told, do this, do that. And there's all sorts of weird stuff going on with these people. They worship the Black Pyramid AI that they want to manifest in the future. Elon has basically openly admitted this. This is how him and Grimes met, is because what is it called?
Grimes wrote a song about Roku's Basilisk, and that's basically I think he like reached out to her after he heard the song, and that's how they met.
Yeah. So, explain what that is, though.
Roku's Basilisk is basically a type of AI that it's kind of like a paradox. So basically, it's an AI that's created, and it gains such an amount of sentience that once it gets to a certain point, it's going to actively punish anyone who did not help to create it. So if you did not help to create this AI, it's going to destroy you, ruin your life, more or less. So the paradox is, and like once you know about Roku's Basilisk, you have you know about it, so the AI would know that you know. So it's like, do you help to create it or do you fight against it? Because if you fight against it, you're going to be punished by the AI.
And basically, what I've seen, as a time traveler, in the Montauk Project, is I was implanted into a potential future. I'm not saying that it's going to be our future, because you have to understand that was the whole point of the Montauk Project, was altering the timeline over and over again. So there's a lot of different timelines. So this isn't necessarily our future. In fact, I really don't think it is anymore. But they're still trying to manifest it, so that's important to recognize. But basically, it's like THX 1138, the movie, except no one talks because they all have neural link connecting their minds, so they don't need to talk. And everything's just done through like neural telepathy, like artificial telepathy, basically. Like, so it's quiet. It's really, that's what the Sound of Silence is about. A Montauk time soldier by the name of Sergeant Gunnery what's his name? Sergeant Gunnery. I'm forgetting his name. Gunnery. I've talked about it in other videos. I'm blanking on his name right now. We haven't found him in the here and now. But basically, it was written by a Montauk Time soldier. And, yeah, they worship this Black Pyramid AI that tells everybody what to do. It basically tells you when to go to work, tells you how to, even like your free time, like what you do recreationally. It delegates all aspects of human life. This happens slowly over hundreds, if not thousands of years. And basically, yeah, there's this Black Pyramid AI that they all worship, and it's connected to, it's a computer system that's connected to an internet, so it's all around the world. It's everywhere. It's the all-seeing eye, basically. It's in everyone's home, every camera. It's everywhere. That's part of the whole idea of the all-seeing eye, like, is this thing that becomes everywhere and sees everything, and is omnipresent, right? And basically, in this future, there's cloning. Human cloning is a thing, and all the people are birthed artificially, basically, and it's delegated by the computer, right? Okay. And which is something, that's a detail that I haven't really talked about. Well, because the memories have become clearer after a new memory that I had, which was I was on a subway basically, and this is the same life. My name was I got it written down in a notebook over here somewhere. Where is it? Well, my name was L18 something. It was three numbers or something. L18. L18 was what I was called. And basically, we were on a subway train with a bunch of plastic body bags with bodies in them. Fresh ones, not dead ones. Clones, basically. And we were bringing them, we brought them, so we got off the train, and then there's like this brown container thing. We threw a bunch of the bodies in there, and then we were bringing them to this giant, like, structure that this little brown thing on a train track was taking us to. And basically, it was a ceremony where the elite there killed themselves in their old bodies and then transferred their souls to the new bodies. So the elite, the whole idea behind this is that they'll live forever through technology, which is a huge part of a lot of these cults and religions that the elite have. Like even Clonaid talks about, basically that's the idea behind it: live forever through cloning. So
The Substance. I just watched that.
Oh yeah, there's a movie called The Substance that sort of, it's pretty far out there, but it's kind of like a social critique on that whole concept, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I wanted to address the TikTok stuff more, and the reasons behind it. Should I put on that video that we're gonna react to?
Yeah, let's pop that on.
So I don't know if you guys know this guy. A lot of people might know him, a lot of people might not know him, but this was one of the first videos I found that wasn't mainstream media talking about it. And when you look up TikTok ban, like, it's all mainstream media. You gotta scroll a while to get to this guy talking about it. But yeah, the mainstream media, who really cares about what they have to say? This guy's, what's his name again?
Hasanabi.
Hasanabi. Okay,
yeah.
So
has nothing to do with national security fears. This has nothing to do with misinformation that TikTok is causing, and everything to do with TikTok being a Chinese operated company that is literally sucking up the rest of the social media marketplace. They either want to be able to control TikTok and forcibly sell it to an American, or they want to just like eradicate it so that people just use Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts. Yep. They've all made their competitive product. All right, SCOTUS is hearing oral arguments about banning TikTok.
Like, I remember when I was young, like, one of the first things I learned about as far as like governance was how monopolies are bad. Like, I remember learning about that in like the 3rd grade, and as a grown man, like, what a bunch of bullshit. Like, they don't care at all about monopolies. Like, they're literally banning this app basically because it's better than the other apps.
Yeah, it's better than Facebook. Yeah, and so like they want to have, like, Zuckerberg and Elon and all these people, they want to have total control over their own social media spheres, because people are leaving Facebook en masse. It sucks now. Facebook stock, like, within the past week has dropped like 14% or something like that.
Yeah, it's so terrible. Like, I don't want to be on it anymore. Like here's an example for me. Like, one of the things where I just got to the point where, like, are you seriously fucking kidding me? They got the Reels, right? The Reels, and then they have the threads. So in my Instagram and Facebook, it would pop up and it'd be like stuff, and they're trying to get me interested in it. And I'd be like, oh, what the heck? Oh, what's going on? And I would click on it and it'd be like, install threads. And I was always like, I don't want to install. What is this? This is stupid. And it got to the point where it was literally showing me like OnlyFans girls. Like, it was like, this isn't working. This is okay. Last resort. Like, it was showing me like girl influencers that are dancing in like, you know, provocative clothing or like not wearing very much or whatever. And if you click on their thing, then it's going to bring you to their, hey, subscribe to my OnlyFans. So that's literally how low they stoop, just to try to get you to engage with one of their apps. That's what I'm trying to get at. Like, they, just to keep you engaged with you, like, they will go, there is no depth that they will not sink to of depravity, basically, to get people to fucking just keep engaging with their stupid fucking apps.
Yeah.
And they want you to be a brainwashed zombie moron that spends like 4 hours a day at the very least on their fucking apps.
Yeah, on Facebook, like, I remember when it used to be able to just go on there, like, scroll. Oh, you see all your friends' updates for the day, and then, oh, there's nothing, there isn't really anything much more to look at. Time to log off Facebook. But now, if you go on there, half of it is ads or like suggested pages, like meme pages, art pages that they think you might like, you know, stuff like that. So half of it is stuff that you literally don't even follow. And so it makes it really, really hard to get off, because like, I see, you know, oh, I see this suggested like art page. Now I got to go, you know, look at this and share this meme.
They're literally just trying to
never
make
ends.
it used to be about connecting with people, and the app was sort of at least kind of designed around connecting with people. It's funny how much we're talking about Facebook with TikTok, but it's relevant.
Yeah.
It's extremely relevant.
It is, yes.
It used to be kind of about engaging with people, and the reason why I've left it is because I think it's more not about that anymore. Like, you're not really, like, they want people angry, they want people upset, because if they're upset and they're arguing with people in the comments and stuff like that, then they're engaging with the app, and that's all they care about. That's what I'm saying. Like, they don't care whether it's making you angry or sad or depressed, or whether it's making 11-year-old girls slit their wrists and kill themselves, which is literally fucking happening. I shouldn't have said that, because apparently they're weird about.
We can, yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe we can fix that later somehow. We'll see.
Hopefully, I don't get censored for that. But it's true. That's literally happening. It's making young girls like hate the way they look, self-harm, which is obviously bad. We're against that. Like, I'm pretty sure that's the one thing that if they really care about is like they don't want people advocating for that or glorifying it, even in a way to get entertainment, to get clicks. And we're not doing that at all in this. So hopefully that because I don't want to have to go back and edit this.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just have to put it on Patreon for free after this or something. I hate that about this fucking app. It's like so bad with the censorship. That's what I'm getting at. It's like, yeah, anti-censorship is bad, but also like I can smell what The Rock is cooking.
Yeah.
Well, and by The Rock, I mean the CIA, the intelligence agencies, the
Yeah.
PSYOPs people. They're trying to create an environment of vitriol, of hatred, of people arguing with each other, of groups not getting along. Like you know, in the 90s, I remember the 90s, like everybody people were different. I remember like growing up, I remember there being like Muslims in my community. No one really cared from what I could tell. Like, I'm sure they got crap because we live in America and stuff like that, but what I'm getting at is it's always been about the melting pot. I've grown up with that being a celebrated American value. Like that's what they at least tell you, right? Look, whether it's literally true or not. And what I'm worried about is that becoming lesser of a thing is with the environment that they're trying to create. And like I said, like it's one thing where like the borders right now, there's all sorts of wild stuff going on with it, and I understand people being concerned, but I just really think that what we're going to ask for is stronger borders, and then we might get that, and then that's Canada's going to strengthen their border too. Everyone's going to start strengthening their borders, and basically what I'm getting at is they think they're going to try to limit movement with this.
Well, yeah.
It's up to how we respond, though. It's always up to how we respond to all the stuff they try to do. So it's not guaranteed. But hey, I bring it up so that we can respond, so people can be educated, so can be aware, so that we can respond into all these events that they're manufacturing in a way where, I don't know, man. I don't even know how to respond, because with the problem, reaction, solution, it's like, okay, there are global problems. It's gotten really bad. Things are really bad. What are the solutions? I'm not going to go on, sit on my soapbox and say that Arkeem for president, I know all the solutions, because I don't. I'm going to be real with you guys. I don't. All I can see is they're creating chaos on purpose to benefit from it. And it's important we as a community recognize that big time. It's really important to recognize
that. And one thing, going back to the TikTok thing, as far as freedom of speech goes, just ask yourself this: why aren't they banning Temu? Temu is a huge problem. Millions of people have gotten their credit card information stolen through Temu. That is another Chinese app, but nobody is talking about that. And the way that I understand Temu works, it kind of encourages a sort of gambling mentality to keep you on there and to keep you, looking at stuff to buy. But nobody's talking about banning that. Nobody's talking about that as a national security risk. It's only TikTok. TikTok is the only app.
And now you got people. Now you got people going to Red Note. What she has literally done. She's literally checking out Red Note.
I'm on Red Note.
And tell the audience what you've learned from.
Yes. So first of all, I should say, if I have any Chinese American viewers watching this and I get something wrong, my apologies. I'm only seeing things from the outside, and so I'm just kind of watching this from an outside perspective. So I've gotten on Red Note. A lot of other people have gone from TikTok to Red Note. Now, I should say first of all that there are some differences. First of all, on a lot of people use TikTok as sort of a video diary, a vlog. A lot of people talk about like I see a lot of witchcraft videos, and I watch a lot of political. I get news from TikTok. These really short, informative videos. You can't talk about any of that on there. You can't talk about anything religious on Red Note. You can't talk about anything religious, and you cannot talk about any politics. You cannot show a lot of, if you're a female, you can't show a lot of skin. You can't. They're really strict about even showing cleavage and stuff. So, first of all, there are some differences there. But one thing that I would like to go into is myself and a lot of other American TikTokers, we're getting on Red Note, and we're seeing the vast difference in the quality of life that people have there versus the quality of life that people have here. People over there I've seen prices for apartments ranging from $70 a month to $250. As from what I understand, it's only the ultimate luxury high rise, the richest of the rich apartments that get into the $1,000 a month range. And here we are in the United States, in Portland, and we pay over $1,000, just a little bit over $1,000 a month for this tiny 500 square apartment, where half the time you turn the water on and you don't have hot water, and if you plug too many things in, the electricity shorts out.
Yeah.
And you can go on take your partner out for a date and spend a whole day doing cool stuff, going to cafes, going to movies, and then going out for drinks, and it only costs I saw one where it was it only costs $20 US. People are posting grocery hauls, and they're paying less than $10 for a grocery haul. Meanwhile, we go to the cheapest place that you possibly can get groceries at here in Portland, the Winco, and still every time we spend at least $100 to $150 at least. And if you go to Walmart or Fred Meyer, it can easily get into the $200 or $300 range for a grocery trip for two people. So yeah, there is.
Because of the frog boiling in the water effect, we haven't realized how bad the economic disparity is in America right now. We're basically living in a fucking third world country right now.
Yep.
But that's the truth, people. We're living in a goddamn third world country.
Yeah.
That's reality, man. There just happens to be a lot of wealth here.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Where's my wealth? Where's the And another thing that people don't ever talk about, which is fucking reality. And I'm sorry to the elders in the audience. I respect my elders, but a lot of this is a generational robbing. The older generation has a lot of wealth that they accumulated. And basically, the younger generation is being turned into a lower class that caters to the older
boomers.
people. And this isn't just something that I'm just spouting about. There's like Harvard educated professors that talk about this phenomenon and how it's a real thing that's actually happening.
Yeah, like think about the credit score. The credit score
that never existed when you guys were when like Penny Bradley and my mom, other people that are older, they never had they didn't exist.
Yeah.
If you want an apartment,
I'm older than the credit score. The credit score came out in 1988. I was born in 1985.
There's all these hoops you got to jump through to get an apartment, right? Like we know this. We all know this. To live anywhere, you got to jump through all these crazy hoops. It's stupid. You got to make all this stupid amount of money, like 3 times.
You have to put a security deposit. You have to pay first and last month's rent. Even
back in the day, it used to be you would see a sign. Hey,
room for rent.
You call them. Oh yeah, it's $400 a month. Thank you. You shake their hand, and then you live there. And then when you moved out, you call them, give them a heads up. Hey, I'm gonna move out. It was so much different. You actually talk to the person. Now it's a computer program that accepts you. It's not even a fucking human being. Like like homes here, they call it properties. And then these real estate agencies buy them up instead of them treating them like, where people live, like people have to live somewhere. It's treated as a commodity in the United States. And that is a huge problem. And the irony of this situation is Dan Armstrong has talked about this on the show. But there's a Chinese real estate company that is involved in a lot of this buying up properties and fixing the rate. And you can look into this. The FBI is actually investigating this. The last time I heard about this was I need to look into this again, but about a month ago I looked into it, and the FBI was actually investigating, and there's like a court case being filed against this real estate company for fixing the rent prices in the United States, and it's a Chinese company.
Yeah, and that's another thing with the housing there. I found out that apparently they don't have to pay property taxes are a huge reason why rents keep increasing. It's also why some schools here in America are better funded than others. In China, apparently, I found out that you don't have to pay property tax. So if you own a house, or even with apartments, like once you finish paying that off, that's yours. You can live there. You don't have to pay property tax.
It's not like here where armed goons can show up and take your home from you if you don't pay a property tax.
Or like, where you have to keep paying rent forever in perpetuity, and that's never going to change. Like, property tax is a huge excuse that like landlords give for raising rents and stuff, and it's just in my opinion, it's a bad system, and it should be abolished.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I don't believe that where people live, I don't know, man. It's just a messed up world where it's like how much money we can maybe make off this. Ooh, this struggling single mother with 2 children. How much can we get out of her? That's literally like what society is like right now.
Yeah.
Like that's at every angle. The boss that she's working for, the landlord that she's paying rent to, the state that she's paying taxes to. It's just a bunch of vampires, and no one can get ahead anymore because the vampires are all given a pass, given all the wealthy are given all these basically like tricks to where they don't actually have to follow the law or obey the same rules that we have to, so they can get ahead. It's just so messed up.
It's getting blood from a stone. Like I was telling him last night, like again, our rent is so expensive, and then on top of that, we have internet, car insurance, gas, like renter's insurance, all these bills. Like I would not be able to. at my job, like I make $22 an hour. If I was living here by myself, like I basically would not be able to afford to do anything fun ever. Just existing to pay.
I mean,
bills.
we basically can't afford to do anything fun right now.
It's so
I never
so
go
hard.
out. I don't do anything.
Yeah. If we want to go out on like a movie date or like go out dancing for the night, like that's like our activity for the month because that's all we can afford. Like you go to the club, it costs like $10 per person at the door, and then you buy, expensive drinks. And
so
like,
it's not just like people talk
whole...
about the internet, they blame the internet, video games, all this stuff on like, oh, you don't see people out in the world anymore. Well, a lot of it is because it's become prohibitively expensive. That's one thing. And another reason is because it's built around cars. Like kids can't even drive until they're 16. And they're in cities that are literally dangerous for them to ride their little BMX bikes around. They're gonna get hit by a goddamn fucking idiot in their fucking pickup truck. Like for real, I'm not kidding. Like that's 100. Like they've built like people are like, why don't kids go outside? And then you go outside, walk around in your like suburban small town you live in. Look around and look at how unsafe it is for them. How it's built around cars and how there's 4-lane wide roads that they have to cross and all this crazy shit. And people aren't paying attention and they're on their phones. They're gonna get killed just going outside. So it's just like, the environment has changed in so many ways. It's not just the internet. It's not just that. There's so many other reasons.
Yeah, I'm planning on going on Red Note, and I'm just gonna make some videos about like showing people like what it's like. Because I don't know, I feel like I've been gaslit. We kind of gaslighted ourselves a little bit, being like, oh, it's not as bad as everyone says it is. It's okay, but it's like. There's literally I can walk down, couple blocks down the street, and I can literally see like tents everywhere, or broken down RVs with like trash scattered outside. And you go on Red Note, you look at the cities are clean. They are beautiful. Everyone in America has just accepted this fact that, cities are going to be dirty. There's going to be people out, sleeping outside everywhere. There's going to be like needles on the ground. And it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't. It's all manufactured. Like we could be living in a city that is clean and where people are healthy and able to walk around safely. But no, we just give people, a tent as a Band-Aid solution. But
because the society's priorities are the shareholders. That's society's priorities right now. The fucking shareholders. God forbid we ever upset the shareholders. Like, forget the fact that there are real people and real lives and real actual things going on. Like, look at the situation with Boeing. They got fucking windows fucking flying out and fucking doors flying off the hinges because they don't have any, because they've basically cut all of they don't put any money into their employees, into their security, into their product. It's all about the shareholders. Like, there's whole documentaries about it. They literally killed whistleblowers, like 2 or 3 of them. Boeing has.
Yeah,
like,
they're unaliving people.
I keep on using words I'm apparently not allowed to use.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't think YouTube, like, really cares if you say, kill or die, but just for safety, just in case, I'm just going to say unalive.
Yeah.
We all know what it means, so.
But we just basically gotten to a point in the society where it's just completely profit driven. It's just all about profit, and that's why I'm so skeptical of everybody. Trump's gonna lead us to a fucking golden age. What do you think that guy cares about? Profit. He wants America to make money again, and it doesn't matter whether the little guy makes money to the big fish.
America
they don't give a
is
shit.
Being sold for spare parts right now.
That's what I think too, and I'm one of the very few minority people in this community is actually worried about the future a bit. But I do think, like, on a large scale, when it comes to galactics, ET, and the big picture, I think that we're headed on the right path and that we're going to have help. And they don't want nuclear war. They don't want all these bad things happening to, like Earth basically falling apart and going into complete mess is not just bad for Earth. It's bad for a lot of people throughout the galaxy. So I don't want to be like, I'm not trying to be the person who's like, everything's just going to go to shit, blah, 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 because that's not really true either. But it's up to us to yeah, wow. Okay, so there's some things I want to address in the comments. So first of all, this is messed up. Price gouging for rent displaced families in LA. Yeah, they're paying they're paying their mortgages and their property taxes still. I hope this radicalizes people on it. They should, because that's not acceptable. And then there was another thing someone said earlier that ADHD. Sorry, I wanted to address it a long time ago, but I think it was Rocky Mountain who said that a lot of people spend a lot of time on TikTok. Yeah.
Yeah, there are. I mean, there are downsides.
It's got problems too. Yeah,
there are downsides.
So let's address
to TikTok.
that for sure.
Yeah, I feel like as a ADHD person, it can definitely make your attention span worse.
Yeah,
so
and it's just like all the other apps. It's designed to keep you on it and keep you distracted or whatever. So you got to be careful with that. But when it comes to all the apps, like as far as disseminating information, like it's been a powerful tool for that. Facebook really hasn't been, Instagram really hasn't been as much. So, yeah.
Yeah. I actually removed it from my phone for a little bit because I felt like I've removed it from my phone periodically just to give myself a little break. I do feel like that is important because there's other old TikTok alternatives. There's one called Lemonade that is basically a TikTok clone. I am on there. I haven't really used it yet. I've been mostly just like getting used to using Red Note. But that was another thing that we wanted to talk about.
Yeah. People are learning about each other's cultures. Like now they're learning about the United States, and we're learning about China through people leaving TikTok and going on like Red Note. And also there's the Russian app VK.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like the same thing going on. So there's this really unique and kind of beautiful in a way cultural exchange going on.
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
great. Like people like this. I saw this dude. He was really funny. He made a TikTok being like, "We're getting on Russian TikTok." Arab TikTok, like fucking, there's probably like a fucking like Mexican TikTok out there. We're getting on all of them, and we're connecting with people. I've actually gotten on VK too. I haven't really made anything on there
which is
yet,
the Russian one.
but yeah, it's really beautiful because people are talking to each other. People are finding out like I said before, like how much do you pay for this? How much do you pay for this? Like, I saw this one TikTok last night. It was like this Chinese guy, and he was like, American friends, like, please, I'm begging you, if you need any major medical work, like any major surgery, hop on a plane, come here to China. We'll take care of you, and your plane ticket is going to be the cheapest part of the whole thing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy the world we live in right now in the United States, and I'm not by any means saying that China is perfect. I want to be really clear about that. China has a lot of problems.
Yeah,
like for instance, like I enjoy cannabis. It's my medicine, and over there, they're not very tolerant of that at all.
No,
they're very. I'll even use the word fascist. They're fascist about it. I have a friend who lived there, and he was a teacher for a while, like teaching English, but then for a while he was living off of music actually there in China. And he said that he would play at these clubs, and basically one of the clubs that he played out, they shut the doors. He was able to slink away the first time it happened. He got really lucky. But basically they shut the doors, and he was explaining to what people were there that like they were drug testing people. Like they wouldn't let people leave, and they're making people they thought were intoxicated on drugs like pee into like a cup basically, or draw blood from them or whatever. And you could go to jail if you tested positive. So he had to quit smoking marijuana. He was actually smoking marijuana in China. It was available. The Muslim community, actually a lot of them partake in cannabis, believe it or not, in China. So he found places where he could get it. Yeah, it's just kind of there's things that are different. There's definitely problems there. There's definitely things that they need to fix. Their government's not perfect either, and does some really fucked up things sometimes. But it's just important. It's just important to realize their standard of living is a lot higher.
Way better. It is for the ordinary person. It is way better. Way better.
This new generation is going to be speaking in Mandarin in no time.
That is actually happening. People are learning Chinese on Red Note. Like there's all these Red Note accounts that like teach you basic Chinese phrases. Like I've seen people on TikTok who are starting to learn some Chinese now. So yes, that is absolutely happening for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And I think that he's maybe worried about that, Mike's side, and I get it. Like, but like, I think it's good for us to learn about each other's cultures and stuff like that. And here's what I think. This is what's good, Mike side. This is what I want you to think about. So the Chinese people are going to learn about like the things that we have good here. It's like, what, they have that? Because there are things here that are better.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things here that are like we both societies have their faults, things that are wrong with them, and then they have their things that are better and good. And,
like I was saying
things
about
that, and if we around the world use these apps to connect with each other and be like, oh, this is what's wrong with our society. But this is what we do right. And if we all do that and learn from each other, we can build a better world, right? That's kind of like that. That's what I think could be cool about this whole TikTok ban thing and all these people fleeing to all these different apps and stuff like that. It's like it could actually, because they're trying to create disunity, I think it could backfire and create more unity.
Oh yeah, and one thing I should also mention is from seeing people's conversations with the Chinese people, they like basically not most, if not all of the what.
This rip in my shirt. I don't know
Well,
why.
been there for a long
I didn't
time.
notice it for first. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Anyway, basically they are finding out that all of the stuff that they hear about America is true, and they are in shock. They're like, it costs you how much for an ambulance ride? And you tell them, oh, it's not, it's $1,000 for an ambulance ride. They're like, we thought that was just propaganda. You tell them, this is how much I pay for rent in a major city. They are shook by it. Again, they said, oh, we thought that was just propaganda from our government. And it's like, no.
Yeah, because there's like they know that they
real.
know their government, spouts propaganda, makes things up. Like everybody in China knows that. Like I remember my friend who lived there, Henry, telling me about that. Like they know, like, government can be full of shit. And the thing that sucks about their government too is it's not like here, where the government sometimes will be like, hey, we were wrong. Chinese government doesn't do that because they're an authority, and authorities aren't supposed to it's like a part of their culture, I guess. And this is coming secondhand information from a friend who lived there, but that's what he told me. He said that like when the government makes a mistake there, you're not going to see them apologize about it. You know what I mean? Like they are unapologetic. Like the government is always right. The government can't be wrong. Whereas here, it's kind of part of our ethos that the government can be wrong and we have to hold them as responsible. So that would be an example of like something that's good about the United States. It just seems like lately we have forgotten all about that and we're not holding our government responsible.
Well, especially with everything that's coming up. So
yeah, like when I think of like a lot of things that happen, like on the I'll be real, guys. This is might offend people or whatever, but I'll just be real. Like on the left side, you have Black Lives Matter, which I'm not saying that didn't matter, but and then you have people with January 6th and stuff like that. Like, what if we did that over like similar things over the fact that our country is run by like PDF file Satanists? You know what I mean? And like, what if we got unified on like stuff that we all can agree on? Like the ruling class is bad, the elite are bad, they're fucking us over. Like, a lot of issues in society, they are not political. They try to make them political, but they're not. Like the fact that we all have a way too low of a quality of life right now, and it's too expensive for us all to live. That is not left or right issue. That's an everyone issue. You know what I mean? Like that's part of the whole left-right dichotomy programming. It's like they want you to think that there's only two choices or something like that, and like one side's wrong and one side's right. What I see from where I stand is a lot of times liberal policies are absolutely horrendous. Sometimes they're okay. A lot of times right-wing policies are absolutely horrendous. Sometimes they're okay. That's literally what I believe. Like, it's when you stand from like an objective standpoint and look at things where like that's what we need to be doing more in the society is instead of picking team red or team blue. It's really ridiculous. It's become ridiculous with that. And I think that that's part of the reason why this might backfire with the TikTok ban, though, is that we are.
It absolutely is going to backfire. Like they're I don't know. This whole thing has been so up in the air. It's like, oh, they're going to ban it this week. They're going to ban it. You know, they're going to give us an extension. You know, Biden's going to sign the order. No, now Trump's going to sign the order. It's just all over the place. It's like, what is really going on? Like, what is?
I'm actually really curious because I can see him going on. They banned the TikTok. Everyone, they banned it. We figured it out. I'm unbanning TikTok. Crowd cheers. Like I could just
Yeah,
see
well,
it.
he was the one who started the whole process in the first place. And,
Oh, he'd totally be the
yeah.
type to
and now
to unban it and then take all the credit for it.
For
He'd totally
yeah.
do something like that.
Yeah, that's probably gonna happen.
But anyway, no, I don't know. Like they're saying they want somebody from the United. Even Trump said he's fine with it, but someone from the United States needs to own it, which I think is a little silly, honestly.
Yeah. Like again, nobody's talking about banning Temu.
Yeah, and Temu's
right?
literally stealing people's bank information and stuff, committing bank fraud and stuff. So that's kind of screwed up. I'm really glad that I didn't buy this pedal from Temu. I saw it on Temu for like $20. They got a guitar.
Yeah, no, I've been tempted by some stuff there.
I'm
like
glad I never used it.
Temu and Shein. Oh God, Shein is another Chinese company. They mostly focus on selling clothes, but they sell other stuff too. I see so many Shein ads, and they are just as shady as Temu. And nobody's talking about banning them. They've got their own app and everything that you can just buy stuff from.
All right, well, let's see what else Hassan has to say about this. So we were getting extremely meta. We're reacting to a guy who reacts to stuff.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I just need to use the restroom real quick, so you can get it started. I'll be back in just a second.
Okay. You've seen this before?
I haven't. No, I haven't.
Oh, well, then I'll wait a second. So how's everybody doing in the chat? How are you guys doing? She's got to use the restroom real quick. How are you guys doing? Now you see how messy her counter is because she moved. That's okay. We got a bottle of wine there. We sometimes enjoy a glass of wine at the end of the night. Doesn't make me a bad guy. Got some rubbing alcohol there for cleaning my cannabis unit. Got to clean that bad boy once a day. Yeah, sorry guys. I don't mean to, well, people gotta use the bathroom sometimes. It's part of life. But she's gonna be right back. Just takes a second. See, there you go. You back?
Yep. I'm back.
All right. So this is Hassan. I don't know how people feel about him. I know there might be some people in this audience who might know him and might really like him, or some people might not like him. It's not really about him. It's about the information. This particular information pertains to the subject. He's not Fox News. He's not CNN. I didn't want to have like a CNN or Fox News thing. He was one of the first people I found that was talking about this. That wasn't mainstream. So this is why we're just listening to what he has to say. He's got a lot of followers and stuff and holds clout. He's been on the news and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, this is how they're making the plea. Look at these cool dances.
It's one of the most popular social media apps in America with an estimated 100 million users. Home to viral moments and everything from how-to tutorials
You have to make these chopped Italian sandwiches. These
to
are so
fashion and
good.
beauty
Look at
trends.
everything.
These over here are the Cyber Monday deals I'm low-key looking at.
But in just 9 days,
Oh, by the way, they are going to come after Tencent. They're going to come after League of Legends. I'm just letting you know right now. I am letting you know right now. They're going to come after League of Legends. They're going to come after Valorant. They're going to come after the drone producers. What is it called? DJI or whatever, the Chinese drone manufacturers. They're going to come after Chinese router companies like TP-Link. I'm just letting you know. DJI, sorry. Yeah. Yes. Marvel Rivals might be on the chopping block. I am letting you know right now, the way things are going, they're going to try to clamp down on anything and everything that is made in China. This panic is not going away. It is not going to subside. It is going to get much worse. Let's
saying
continue.
the Chinese government can force TikTok to hand over Americans' data and use the app to spread misinformation. TikTok denies those claims, saying its American operations are separate and arguing the ban.
Dude, there's nothing funnier. There is nothing funnier than saying TikTok is responsible for the spread of misinformation, which it is. Okay, that's true. But exclusively TikTok is responsible for spreading misinformation. Have you seen Facebook? Have you seen any of the social media platforms out there? Like, if you cared about the dissemination of truth, right? Or if you cared about like hate speech or all of these like divisive statements coming out of social media and like dividing the public, then apply European style restrictions. Then you will never do that, of course, because this has nothing to do with national security fears. This has nothing to do with misinformation that TikTok is causing, and everything to do with TikTok being a Chinese operated company that is literally sucking up the rest of the social media marketplace. And they want to ensure that they're the only game in town. American owned companies must dominate the land. TikTok doesn't offer the same backdoors that every other social media platform offers to the American intelligence agencies. That's a big problem for them. And also, it's not controlled by an American that is malleable, by a Westerner that is, easier to control. That's the reason. That's why they absolutely hate it. I know they're already coming for Tencent. U.S. has Chinese tech giants that list of companies allegedly working with China's military. The U.S. Department of Defense has added Chinese tech companies Tencent, a social media and gaming giant, and CATL, the world's largest battery maker, to a list of firms that it alleges works with the Chinese military. And the thing is, they do. They do. Of course they do. You know who else works with the military, with their respective military? Every American company. Every company in the United States of America, from video game developers all the way to whatever goods manufacturing we have that remains here, okay? It's so stupid. If anything, the Chinese collaboration with the government / the Chinese military is much more limited than the overt American collaboration that every single one of our software companies and hardware companies works directly with the American military.
We were muted. Sorry, guys. Thank you for letting me know. So basically, what's different about TikTok? It's really nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing. Like I was saying, I just learned the other day that Facebook basically, there's all these settings with Facebook that unless, and again, I find out a lot of this information on TikTok. There's all these settings on Facebook that are designed to, they're turned on by default, and they are designed to track and monitor you. And unless you go in, they're turned on by default, and unless you go in and specifically look for this setting, they're going to track you. And a lot of the time I have found out about this through TikTok, because people will be like, hey, do you know that Facebook tracks this, and this? Here's how you can turn this off.
Yeah.
So that's another part of it that they don't want you to know.
Yeah, so just and by the way, are you ride the bike? I'm an avid cyclist myself. Can appreciate that. You're riding a BMX, or not BMX, but a mountain bike. It looks like. Cheers. I've got a gravel bike myself. In the CCP, yeah. That's fair.
We're giving our data. Everybody has our data anyway. I'm like, fuck it. Yeah.
I think it's a problem that yeah, like let me put it this way, Roger. Like that's a great point, and you're right, and it's valid, and it does kind of make the app a little bit different than Facebook and all these other apps that we're talking about, right? But the issue is, why are we giving all these companies free reign access to all of our information in the fucking first place, right? Like they should not be allowed to have that, whether it's Facebook, whether it's TikTok. Mm-hmm. And that's part of the conversation that's a little frustrating from my standpoint is it's like, okay, well, sure, TikTok probably shouldn't be gathering all this information, I guess. That's a fair argument. Okay, but yes. What about Meta? What about all these other American companies? Google, like all these other companies that are doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, and they're making millions and billions of dollars off of our data, and we don't see a cent of it.
Yeah. So, but it's fair. It's fair. Like, you're pointing out that there's maybe at least a little bit of a reason, or at least a fairly good excuse, if that is like their Trojan horse, and that's not the real reason why. It makes sense. Like, it does make sense, but it's kind of what Hassan is saying. The guy we're reacting to is, well, what's next then? The video games we play, like, that are hosted made by Chinese company, like maybe hosted in Chinese servers or whatever, like all this stuff, like it can get kind of crazy to the point where it's like, yeah, freedom of information, okay, that's one thing that's important, and freedom of movement is important, right? And I see that being attacked right now. Freedom of movement around this earth is being attacked, and freedom of information is also being attacked.
Yeah.
And while at the same time, Facebook, and let's also I would also like to point out that it's interesting timing. That Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg just went on fucking Joe Rogan's show and was just like, oh yeah, we're not going to censor anymore. We're going to be super chill on Facebook. We're not going to have fact checkers anymore. Sorry about that. Like, and it's just as the TikTok ban's happening. Is that a coincidence? You know what I mean? It's kind of weird. Like,
yeah, they want monopolies. Like, I've been looking for alternate, because I like posting, pictures on Instagram, but I don't want to be on Instagram anymore because it's owned by Meta. And I'm looking for alternatives to Instagram, but there really aren't any. They want to just have a monopoly on all of the social media platforms, so there's nowhere else to go. Like, there are indie social media platforms that pop up here and there, but a lot of them are very, very small. And the whole point of social media is that it's social. So if you go on a platform, if you join a certain platform and nobody else joins, you're not going to continue to use it, because you can't. Again, the point is to be social, and you can't be social if none of your friends are on a certain platform.
Yeah, so that's one point to point out. And I know somebody in the audience said they weren't the biggest fan of Hassan, and I just want to point out, like, we're not saying go sub his channel and he's the greatest guy ever and the arbiter of information or whatever. He just was the first.
It's an entertaining streamer.
Yeah, and he was the first person who wasn't mainstream media that I found talking about this issue, and I didn't. It's kind of funny because now that I'm playing it, he's just reacting to the mainstream media. It's so meta. It's getting real meta, you guys. But he's making a lot of good points so far. Yeah, he's making a lot of great points so far, I think. So, and again, like I said, I'm not saying you got to agree with everything this guy says or that, we advocate for him or whatever. We're just saying this is interesting conversation.
Yeah, let's take a look at it.
Terry. Yeah, from Microsoft to Facebook to Amazon, everything. The inclusion of the Pentagon list does not result in immediate sanctions, but it could affect the reputations of the companies named and hinder their commercial progress, particularly if they want to do business in the United States. Shares in Tencent, which owns Chinese super app WeChat, were 6.5% lower in Hong Kong on Tuesday, while CATL Shenzhen listed shares lost more than 3%. They joined dozens of other alleged Chinese military companies on the list that the Defense Department alleges operate directly or indirectly in the U.S., according to a notice posted in the Federal Register on Monday. The Pentagon has said the so-called 1260H list, which is updated annually, is an important continued effort in highlighting and countering China's military-civil fusion strategy, a goal to develop the most technologically advanced military in the world by eliminating barriers between the country's civilian research and commercial sectors and its armed forces. Meanwhile, we got this going on. Mr. Beast, Kelly Clarkson, and Guy Fieri were approved for Pentagon funds last year as military recruitment hits record lows. Look at that. Ridiculous. Mark Zuckerberg openly admitting that Meta works with the intelligence community to identify foreign influence operations. Like, that's the major reason why they're so upset with TikTok too. And obviously the straw that broke the camel's back was when they got the Israel lobby on board with banning TikTok. If you recall, Donald Trump initially said he wanted to ban TikTok when he was president. There was a lot of motion to ban TikTok. He wanted to do it via executive authority. It didn't work. Right? Then they turned to Congress. And the final straw that broke the camel's back was post-October 7 when the ADL got involved. When ADL and other Israel lobby arms got together and wanted to ban TikTok because there was too much pro-Palestinian sentiment going on those platforms, as opposed to like Meta, where if you say anything even remotely pro-Palestinian, you get banned. They were able to finally push Congress to take action, which they did, and then they voted for it. And then it went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and now the Supreme Court is discussing whether or not to ban this website. And virtually all members of the supposedly liberal media are on board with this ban as well. Meanwhile, Donald Trump, given the advantages that he got from TikTok and a last-ditch effort, I think, from TikTok that opened up the content faucet for right-wing sentiment to thrive even more than it does, is now trying to save TikTok. At least that's what he's saying he wants to do.
Like Nadia Okamoto, who has over 4 million followers.
If TikTok were to go away, we would be facing a really, really challenging situation.
Yeah, this is a very real issue because TikTok is virtually the only game in town for a lot of small businesses that have very successful small business.
There's a lot of people. That's another thing that I think that the powers that be, the elites, whatever you want to call them, I think that's another thing that they don't like. There are a lot of people in this country, in America.
Creators are being attacked. They keep on making it harder and harder for people who are making their own income off the internet. They keep on making all these weird restrictions, making it more expensive, making it harder.
There's a lot of people in this country who are making their living. They quit their normal 9-to-5 day job. They are now making their living on TikTok. All of those people are going to be out of work. And guess what they're going to have to do? They're going to have to go back into their regular 9-to-5 jobs
just to
serve the upper class. They don't like that people can make a living outside of the normal paradigm where you work your whole life 9-to-5 making money for somebody else. So like that's going to be putting a lot of, and like another thing I should mention is like these people who make their living off TikTok, even if they go to Red Note, they can't make any money off of Red Note. The reason why is because you need to have a Chinese bank account in order to get money for Red Note. And Red Note, you don't get money from basically the only way that you can make money from Red Note is through sponsorships, but you can't even get that if you don't have a Chinese bank account. So there's the financial aspect is all these people making a living from TikTok are going to be out of work essentially, and they don't have any alternative at this point that can make them that kind of money.
So that's kind of a huge part of this. It's an issue, and it's like a control thing, I think. Like, sorry, this is just bothering me. I wish I would have put on a different shirt today, guys. I usually wear like a suit and look nice, and now I'm wearing like a ripped shirt. Oh well. This is the one day where I was like, I'll just put on whatever, and then it just keep on being like, look at that, it looks ridiculous. But I'm not gonna think about it anymore. Please don't judge me, guys. I love you. But anyway, what else does this guy got to say about it? Son, what else you got to say, son?
It's not even a joke. Like, this is straight up something that I brought up as well.
Now, if the ban does go into effect, TikTok isn't just going to disappear from your phone, but new users won't be able to download it and you won't get those software updates. So eventually the app would just stop working. Now, the Supreme Court is expected to make its final decision sometime next week before that January 19th deadline. Guys?
I think that it is absolutely ridiculous that they are banning TikTok. Here's Mitt Romney openly admitting why they want to ban TikTok, by the way. I just want to point this out. Here it is.
Been so awful. I know that's not your area of expertise, but you have to have some thoughts on that, which is, I mean, as you said, why has Hamas disappeared in terms of public perception?
I don't know how you can see how badly TikTok has broken people's brains, and I think it's bad to ban it. I don't agree with their reasoning, but it would be a net good. No, you want to know why? Because, and I've repeated this over and over again, TikTok is one of the only social media platforms where there is leftist sentiment that routinely goes viral. Every other social media platform actively clamps on this sort of sentiment and genuinely stops its distribution. That's the reason why they want to ban TikTok to begin with. It's a major part of the problem. So I say, if there are going to be no
I gotta say, I agree. I think that's probably part of the reason why, guys. I know that a lot of this the truther community is like really right wing or whatever, but I think that's true, and I think that a lot of good things, like for instance, what's going on in Palestine. He's talking about that a lot right now. That's terrible. Mm-hmm. I even had an author come forward that told me about a planet called Angwa that he said the IDF, Israel Defense Force, basically is colonizing. He said it's the same people. He told me he knew Netanyahu was. He said they're doing the same thing to his planet that they did to Gaza. Mm-hmm. That's what he told me. And it's like, yeah, what's going on over there is really bad. And really what you're seeing is mostly on the right. They're like supporting Israel, which is fucked up in my opinion. and on the left, people are like free Palestine. This is
Yeah.
a genocide. This is bad, which it is, guys. It is, and I do think that there's a big part of why they're banning TikTok. I
Yeah.
think that it's a big part.
Absolutely, it's huge. Like you can go on live, you can see all sorts of stuff about what's really going on. Yeah, like I said, you don't really see that in a lot of other social media platforms. So definitely a major factor. I think.
And I think it's like on TikTok. Like what I think is what's different about TikTok is like you see the information being disseminated and people talking about stuff, but there's less vitriol. There's less people arguing in the comments. There's less hatred, and it seems to me like with these other apps, they want people mad, and they're doing that on purpose, and it's like social engineering. And I feel like there's less of that with TikTok. Maybe I'm wrong. It's just my personal.
No, I mean I'm on there a lot. Like he can tell you like I am on there a lot, and yeah, sometimes people get into arguments. People stitch each other like back and forth. Stitching is when you reply to somebody else's video with your own video. You can also duet where it's like your video on one side and their video on another. Yeah, I mean, people get into arguments. Arguments between humans are inevitable, but it's not like Facebook where it's just like a cesspool of hatred and division.
And then Roger's saying they don't pay any royalties to artists. I would like to point out that it would be really hard to do that because of how they're short sound clips. So even if they did, what would it be? A cent? What would I don't know. But I also understand that though. But that's kind of like par for the course. Like the artists aren't getting paid the amount of royalties that they deserve for the music they create anymore. It's just not happening.
It's a sad thing.
And that's just all across the board.
Restrictions whatsoever, then yeah, I don't want the only platform where there is somewhat of a 50-50 split on left-leaning sentiment versus right-wing supercharged conspiracy theories is better overall than platforms like Twitter that is like completely overtaken by neo-Nazi nonsense. Yeah, exactly. TikTok is the most left-wing platform, which isn't saying much, by the way. Just so you understand, TikTok being the most left-wing platform doesn't mean that it's like all leftist content on there. It's not that at all. There's plenty of right-wing nut jobs on there too. There's plenty of conspiracy theories on there as well. What do you think will replace it? It seems inevitable that it'll be taken away. Yeah, people are just going to supercharge YouTube Shorts. That's it. That's what's going to happen. People are going to go to other platforms, and that's precisely what these American-backed and Western-backed social media platforms want. They either want to be able to control TikTok and give it to the hands of, forcibly sell it to an American, or they want to just like eradicate it so that people just use Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts. They've all made their competitive products.
We can't discount that. But I think it also has a very, very, very challenging effect on the narrative. Yeah, a small parenthetical point, which is some wonder why there was such overwhelming support for us to shut down potentially TikTok or other entities of that nature. If you look at the postings on TikTok and the number of mentions of Palestinians relative to other social media sites, it's overwhelmingly so among TikTok.
Yeah.
He's flat out admitting that the whole Palestinian Israel issue is a big part of why they're doing it. Mitt Romney is, and then I can only imagine that that's true. Like she uses it more than me. I did use it for music for a while, and I actually got a pretty big following on there for a little bit. But I'm sure it's on there. But there's also, probably
I don't see anything about basically all like when I go on TikTok, I see all Americans and I maybe like some British people. It's all people in the West on TikTok.
It would be nice if this happened.
And I should point out that every single the U.S. uses a ton of talking about propaganda. There is so much propaganda that we are pro-American propaganda that we are surrounded by every single day, and we don't even think twice about it. Like nobody.
That's also really true.
We always point the finger at other countries saying this is propaganda, but Americans can't examine themselves.
We're constantly subjected to an endless onslaught of propaganda everywhere we
Marvel
go.
movies.
Yeah, like what do you think Marvel movies are? They're fucking CIA propaganda, blatantly. That's all they are. Like, and so much other stuff. What do you think Law and Order is? What do you think just pretty much all
The
American
nightly
media.
news.
Yeah, what is all American media? It's propaganda. So it's like, if the fucking Chinese propaganda is counteracting our propaganda to show how fucked up our country is, I don't even think that's a bad thing, to be honest with you. Because, like, as long as you're able to recognize, well, that doesn't make them perfect, just because they're able to call us out on their shit. Well, what about their shit? We can call them out on their stuff too. Two people can play this game. That's what I think is important to recognize. It's like, and again, we are not saying China is like great or better. We're just simply pointing out that they do not want us to look. They do not want us to like have this little looking glass, looking at each other's lives and learning about each other's societies and the way they operate, because we will learn what's wrong with our societies and want to improve our societies, and that's what they don't want. They want us to, because whether you're in China or in the United States, they want their population to be docile and under control and subservient, and things to just kind of status quo goes normal. It doesn't matter where you're at. So that's kind of my opinion on it.
What they're talking about
broadcast
isn't
so-
necessarily that TikTok is woke, particularly. Okay. They're simply stating correctly that TikTok has more left-wing sentiment in it. Like, TikTok allows more left-wing sentiment than other platforms. It doesn't mean that it's like overwhelmingly leftist. The argument here is that because TikTok is not controlling the flow of information, they're admitting basically to suppressing any sort of left-wing sentiment. That's it. It's stuff like this. It's stuff like obviously Gaza, but then also Luigi Mangione. I'm telling you right now, there's only a permissible amount of left-wing sentiment that is allowed on websites. Okay, we got to.
What's that, sweetheart?
Oh, I just made a quick comment. Like, they love Luigi on Chinese TikTok and just in China in general. He's like a folk hero there. I saw Luigi like foam latte art and like fan art from Chinese people, so they love him over there.
And they'll allow that on their app. That's nuts, dude.
Yeah.
So what we're getting at, people, is this situation's weird, but what an interesting time to be alive. This is fascinating to talk about, isn't it? Like, it really is an interesting conversation.
Take it out. We got to take out anyone that is a naysayer of the State Department, no matter what the cost. I mean, I'll give you a personal example, obviously, of what I have gone through here on Twitch. Think about how many outside organizations have come after the entirety of Twitch. Think about how many media articles have been written about my unacceptable anti-Semitism. Why? Because I'm pro-Palestinian. It is a laughable argument to make that I am even remotely anti-Semitic. I have spent so much of my media career combating anti-Semitism, explaining to people what dog whistles look like, and combating against fascist sentiment. Just like that, because of my overt and open defense of Palestinian emancipation, because of my unflinching support for Palestinian liberty, for human rights and recognition for Palestinians, immediately.
This is a lot of what we're saying, Johnny, and you're basically like, we agree with this perspective. He says media overall is tailored to specific populations. Danger is to create thinking individuals with access to different perspectives of populations that are thus harder to control. And that's exactly what's happening, Johnny, with people leaving TikTok and going to the Chinese version of that, the Russian version. We're learning from each other. We're seeing each other's world, and this is uniting people.
Yeah.
And what do we need in this world? We need not the governments, not the big guys at the top to be more united, but we need us, the little guy, the underdogs, the common people, to be more united. So it's a good thing to see.
Yes.
It's like, this guy is an anti-Semite. You have to ban him. And you're shadow banned on Insta. Exactly. That's the other side of this story. Mark Zuckerberg on how Meta works with the intelligence community to identify foreign influence operations. Let's take a look.
Nation states or people interfering. A lot of that stuff is best rooted out at the.
I love how he's like wearing a gold chain, like he's a fucking rapper or something.
Well, like, I saw somebody on TikTok. Somebody was like, he looks like he's trying to look like the youth pastor who like marries an 18-year-old girl or something like that. You know what I mean?
He looks like he looks like a white rapper to me. Honestly, that's what he kind of looks like. Like, he looks like he's about to drop a mixtape.
Yeah.
Anyway,
level of kind of accounts doing phony things. It's effectively like intelligence, counterintelligence folks, counterterrorism folks, AI folks who are building systems to identify what are these accounts that are just not behaving the way that people would, and how are they interacting, and then sometimes you trace it.
Where is he shadow banned? Put my name on the Instagram search bar. See if you can find me. Hassan Piker fans. Hassan Abi tweets. Hassan Minhaj. Hassan John Kaya. Hassan Abi posting. Hassan D Piker 69. Hassan D Piker page. Hassan D Piker memes. Hassan D _ Piker. You have to write my full username for me to come up. And I'm logged in on my own profile. Like, I'm logged in on my own profile and it still won't show up. Yeah, look at this. This is real. I don't follow my business account, but wanted to check your stories and I had a hard time finding you. Yeah, there are ways where you can find if you're shadow banned or whatever, or blacklisted or whatever, but it doesn't really matter. I'm not here to complain and cry all the time about like, oh, my algorithm is bad or whatever. It doesn't matter ultimately, and it's varying results. Okay, I love how we can be shadow banned with no due process, no appeal, no way of even challenging it. Yeah, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It still shows, like, at least for the time being, it still shows what I'm putting out there to my audience, to the people that have already followed me. It just makes it much harder for new people to follow. It limits your engagement. Now, having said that, okay, what I'm talking about is a much larger problem. Like, Meta is so censorious on any sort of Palestinian sentiment, regardless of what Mark Zuckerberg is saying about like anti-DEI initiatives and whatever. Human Rights Watch did a report on it. Meta's broken promises, systemic censorship of Palestine content on Instagram and Facebook. Like Human Rights Watch was criticizing. They've operated a major censorship regime on any sort of sentiment that is even remotely pro-Palestinian, so far as like to limit the engagement of accounts that have the Palestinian flag on them, on their descriptions. Like, it's crazy.
And yeah, they say that they're about to be relaxed. Facebook, Meta, they say they're about to relax their censorship. And again, I think this is just so people can call each other, like, call people the N-word and stuff like that, and just to create more hatred and more vitriol. Yep. Not for UFO videos and cool stuff that helps the world. That's not why they're doing it. They're doing it because they want to create an environment where basically hateful people feel emboldened and that they're in the right. Yeah, that's what they're trying to do right now. Where
people can indulge in their worst impulses.
Yeah, that's really what I think. I don't know if it's a popular opinion, but it's my opinion.
And sometimes you get some tips from different intelligence agencies, and then you can kind of piece together over time. It's like, oh.
So he's admitting that they communicate with intelligence agencies, that they communicate with the CIA, that they're in close contact with the CIA. That's not sketchy at all.
This network of people is actually some kind of fake cluster of accounts, and that's against our policies, and then we just take them all off. But
how are you sure? Like, is there a 100% certainty
that
you are definitely getting a group of people that are bad actors, or is it just people that have unpopular opinions?
No, I don't think it's that for this. I think.
But what I'm saying is, how do you determine? Yeah. Like, how do you at what percentage of accuracy are you determining it? Do you ever accidentally think that people that are going to get moderated are actually just real people?
Yes, I think for the specific problem around these like large coordinated groups doing kind of like election.
Yeah, Facebook literally tagged people as terrorists in their internal software for being pro-Palestinian. Okay, so understand that, like, I mean, this is like as straightforward as it gets. According to Amnesty and many other human rights organizations, Facebook played a significant role, which Mark Zuckerberg even apologized for, promoting violence against Rohingya, and that Meta owes reparations. Myanmar, Facebook systems promoted violence against Rohingya, the Muslims, in the genocide that took place. Facebook played a role in that genocide, an active role in that genocide through WhatsApp specifically, where misinformation was spread about the Rohingya Muslims. But hey, he does BJJ and he took steroids, TRT, and he got hit with a Dominican ray. So obviously he's cool now. Not really relevant, but I think Zuck got on TRT, and I think it completely changed his whole personality and pretty much his approach to life, which happens. It's funny to watch a kind of meek, damp, befuddled alien guy slowly become a what's the move tonight rich white guy. Here it is. More anti-vaxxer nonsense, and how Facebook complied with the state demands.
While they're trying to push that program, they also tried to censor.
I want to be clear with you that I don't agree with him on that. Like, I think people should be allowed to ask questions about that, but we're moving on.
Anyone who is basically arguing against it. And they pushed us.
You know what's funny about a lot of this stuff is that the overwhelming majority of the initial wave of content and content moderation surrounding COVID didn't happen under the Biden administration. It happened under the Trump administration, which is why I'm always shocked whenever these guys like make it seem as though Biden was already the president. Like they openly lie about this. It's so funny. Like even Matt Taibbi's assessment of government-backed suppression of speech during the hilarious Twitter files, it happened under the Trump administration. Trump was the president at that time. And they still, for some crazy reason, run with this insane narrative that it was actually the Biden administration that did this. I hate the Biden administration. I've criticized it time and time again, but it is mind-boggling to me how many people openly go along with this concept as though he was already in charge, as though he was already controlling the FBI before he won the presidency. I feel like I'm losing my mind. It's like so basic, such an obvious lie. It's so stupid.
They want us to take down this meme of Leonardo DiCaprio looking at a TV talking about how 10 years from now or something, you're going to see an ad that says, okay, if you took a COVID vaccine, you're eligible for, for this kind of payment, like this sort of like class action lawsuit type meme. And they're like, no, you have to take that down. And we just said, no, we're not going to take down humor and satire. We're not going to take down things that are true. And then at some point, I guess
this guy's totally saving face big time right now. He was a part, in my opinion, he's an actor right now, and he's acting like he communicates with these intelligence agencies as if they're this third-party entity that has nothing to do with this company that he interacts with because he has to. In reality, he's talking to his bosses. That's who he's talking to. 100%. And this is all him saving face. The entire operation with what happened in 2020, they were censoring information. They were controlling information. He was complicit in that. He was not just taking orders from the top down from the government. It's just the whole thing is, in my opinion, an intelligence operation, a psychological operation that didn't pan out the way they expected it to. And now he's trying to save face and look like the cool guy, and then look like that he wasn't going along with the program, or he's only going along with the program because he absolutely had to, which I think is bullshit.
I don't know, it flipped a bit. I mean, Biden, when he gave some statement at some point, I don't know if it was a press conference or to some journalists, where he basically was like, these guys are killing people. And I don't know, then like all these different agencies and branches of government basically just like started investigating and coming after our company. It was brutal.
Dude, it's so funny that they just like dropped liberalism, which was already on aesthetic grounds anyway, like a bad habit, and are just now engaging in the same insane conspiracies.
So if this ban does go into effect, can the Trump administration do anything about it?
Not much. I mean, they can first try to repeal it, right? They can try to get Congress to repeal it. The problem with that is it's really a popular law. Mm-hmm. It was a bipartisan law. It would be very hard for the Trump administration to convince Congress to say, oh, you know what?
I love how it, like, popular means what did our corporate overlords vote on and not what we want? Because it's not popular. Nobody wants this to happen.
No.
But on TV, they're allowed to say this is popular because left and right voted for the ban. Meanwhile, all Americans, the people that they're supposed to actually fucking be representing, like resoundingly, like 80% at least, are like, no, this is stupid.
Yeah, I think it's a little weird that like there wasn't even one dissenting vote in the Supreme Court against it. Like I would think that at least one of them, for one reason or another, would be against it.
But it's because the military is always in control. The intelligence agencies are always in control. And basically, like, yeah, that's really.
It's just like, yeah, the heads of government. Yeah, it's popular with them. It's not popular with the citizens.
Exactly, and that their metrics are so wrong. They need to learn this. Like, we need to teach them a lesson.
We investigated ourselves and found nothing wrong.
Yeah, literally.
That law we passed,
it's not a popular law. It's simply popular in Congress. What's popular in Congress is not popular for the American population.
President-elect Donald Trump has said put a pause on it. TikTok has said put a pause on it. And the justices started to ask about that. And the Solicitor General of the United States, currently the Biden administration Solicitor General, said, no, if you're going to rule for us based on our national security grounds that it looked like they were ready to buy, there's no reason to say that that would justify any kind of postponement here. But there seemed to...
They don't give a shit about anything, bro. The Biden admin is so funny. They literally are just like, no, ban it, ban it, ban it, ban it, ban it. You want to know how ridiculous the arguments are about covert manipulation, data collection, and all that? The Democratic Party moved to ban TikTok, and then they set up TikTok accounts for both Joseph Robinette Brandon and Kamala Harris. That's it. That's all you need to know about how ridiculous these arguments are. Yeah, they're anti-China, and they don't like that TikTok is popular. They want to sell off this popular product by force to an American so they can control the dissemination of info on it. If you scratch this,
love or hate this guy, you gotta admit he's making some amazing fucking points about this, right? Like, we all agree on that.
Yep.
surface hard enough, you're always going to find people that are working at these like research institutes that have State Department background. And yes, if you have State Department background, of course you have at a certain point worked for an Israeli Knesset granted, jobs program like at the ADL, or I mean, I guess AIPAC doesn't officially get sponsorship from the Israeli government because then it would be a foreign lobbying group. But it's not shocking. I think it's a byproduct of Israel being a tool of American empire. And it's like such a strange thing that I can't get pro-Israel people to reckon with, liberal Zionists, and I can't get anti-Semitic people to understand it either. They both, to varying degrees, repeat the same old horse, which is that Israel is operating on its own. And
I think we kind of get the point, guys.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we watched and again, I do think a lot of it does have to do with the Israel situation. I do think a lot of it. This is what's going on, from my perspective. They have it's just intelligence agencies competing with one another. They're even outright admitting that that's what's going on, but you have to read in between the lines in order to see that that's what they're outright admitting. That's all it is. It's just different intelligence agencies masquerading as apps that we use, competing against one another. That's what it really is. And they don't like that TikTok allows certain narratives that our Central Intelligence Agency
that are anti-mainstream.
Yeah, that are against the CIA narratives. That's really the main reason why they're doing this. And I mean, Zuck, as he admitted, like as we said earlier in the video, that he works closely with the intelligence community. What we're trying to tell you here is this is for entertainment purposes only, but he works for them, guys. He doesn't just know them and talk to them. He's literally been under their payroll, and DARPA is the one who created Facebook, not Mark Zuckerberg, in my humble entertainment purposes only opinion. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else more is there to say about this.
Yeah, well, I guess one other thing I should add is I really hope that this doesn't happen. I really hope that Americans, if you go on Red Note, I just want to go talk a little bit about Red Note for a sec. If you go on Red Note, if you do decide to check it out, please behave yourselves. They're talking about possibly creating a separate server for non-Chinese IP addresses, which would essentially separate us back out. There's been which is caused, this migration to Red Note is causing some problems for some people. There are Chinese Americans who live here, but they have relatives back home, and they use Red Note as a way to sort of keep up with their family and to keep up with Chinese culture. So that's going to be a problem for them. Also, the rules on, as I stated a little bit before, the rules on Red Note are very different from the rules on TikTok. One thing that's very interesting is on Red Note, they have a rule that specifically bans ostentatious displays of wealth, which compared to TikTok, like a few years ago, there was this trend of like people just basically showing off all their money, showing off all their wealth. this was kind of before the anti-celebrity sentiment started to take hold. But that's one thing. You can't if you have a lot of wealth and money, you can't show it off. If you have more than like the ordinary person, you can't show it off there. They're like, as I said before, they're very strict about, you know, how much skin you can show. I think of the differences between TikTok and Red Note is TikTok, people use that as more of like a personal blog type deal. Whereas with Red Note, it's more like you're showing things that you could display in a public space. So like if you have a dance that, you know, a new dance that you want to show, like you can show that in the Red Note public square, if that makes sense. But you can't really get into politics. You can't get into anything religious. If you do, you get banned. And if you're not a Chinese citizen, there is pretty much no recourse for you to get your account back. It's not with TikTok, you can appeal it if you get banned and you can maybe get your account back. But with Red Note, if you get banned and you're American, then that's it. You are off the app. So an interesting thing, really interesting that's happening is Americans, when we go over there, we have to humble ourselves in a way that we typically don't have to do. Like Americans, we kind of, you know, burst in, we kind of impose our way of life on people. We never really have to humble ourselves. So if we don't follow the rules and if we aren't respectful, we are going to lose that access. So I just want to kind of to tell people what things are like over there. And on that app, if you do decide to check it out, I really like it. It's really great. They just introduced a feature that automatically translates from Chinese to English. So that's really awesome. I would recommend checking it out if you're curious, but just be respectful and just be mindful and respectful of the cultural exchange, and hopefully we all can stay on there.
And we all can learn from each other.
Yeah.
So with that, I think we're going to wrap things up. Thank you, everybody, for enjoying the show or for being here with us. If you did enjoy the show, there's more content over on my Patreon. Please check it out. It's only $5 to subscribe. And, you know, you can always, check out more content over there. And, just thank you guys for being here. Thank you for being in the chat, for having this conversation with us and learning with us. It was very enjoyable. And, I learned a lot. And
this has been great.
We'll see what happens with this TikTok ban, and we'll see what happens with the near future and stuff like that. And please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed. And everybody just have a really great rest of your weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to talk to Brian. We might be doing a show tomorrow about the fires going on and stuff like that. I'm not sure yet. But keep your eyes peeled because it always will show up usually about a day before or early on in the day that I'm going to do it. We're going to be talking about a lot of the weird, me and Brian are overdue for doing a show just about current events and all the weird stuff going on. And we will be doing that within the next week tops. We're going to be doing a show on that. And of course, Tuesday, full disclosure now, I believe we're going to be having Randy Moonshadow. In fact, I think we're going to be talking about some of these current events with Randy. So I think that's our next guest. And then Virtual Temple Complex on Wednesday. It is going to be at 3 o'clock now instead of 5 p.m. PST. So that's 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And everybody just have a great weekend. Love you all.